you can't complain when people vote for their friends and neighbors.
So you can complain.
Hello and welcome to the EuroWhat, episode 298, dropping on April 14th, 2026. We are a pair of Americans trying to make sense of the Eurovision Song Contest. I'm Mike McComb, and I'm here with my co-host, Ben Smith. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Mike.
In this episode, we'll be talking about Slovenia at Eurovision. What's your impression of Slovenia at Eurovision?
Like, within the contest, it's just like, they are like one of the sort of smaller nations that generally shows up as like they're a very good participant. I feel like they can kind of be all over the place. It's like they've sent some stuff I've really enjoyed. There's the one entry whose name I'm forgetting when it's relevant, where it's just like the two of them just doing like a very the XX style song.
Oh, Sebi from 2019.
Yeah, Sebi. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Really liked what Sebi was doing. They sent Joker out, and just sort of that whole saga was very fun and was like a really good strategy of like, this is the biggest band in our country right now. They're trying stuff and they're doing stuff that I think a lot of nations should be doing, and I have no clue if it's working for them or not.
I think that's kind of where I'm at as well. Like, my first exposure to Slovenia was the 2010 contest where they were doing Narodnozbovni rock. Where they're just wearing, where it's just like these very like Slovenian costumes and very Donnie and Marie. I thought, like, oh, this is not 2010. What is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Since then, I think they've been fine. Like they're actually one of the countries that I look forward to. Like, I really like their Emma process. And yeah, I find that their songs tend to be like really radio friendly and usually on trend, or at least not out of step with what's happening at Eurovision. As I was going through and like digging up information about Slovenia, I was kind of thrown by their history on the scoreboard, and just like, oh, other countries that have this kind of record I would describe as struggling. And I never got that impression from Slovenia, which I think kind of peppered how I was approaching them, because I was really struggling with figuring out how to talk about Slovenia because, like, as you've mentioned, they're a little all over the place, but not really making a big impact at any point. But they are one of the countries that are boycotting the contest this year. I'll send you over a quote from TV Slovenia director Ksenia Horvat discussing why Slovenia is boycotting the contest this year.
All right. TV Slovenia was the initiator of the debate at the EBU level about the controversy surrounding Israel's participation in the Eurovision Song Contest. We believe that the EBU could have shown a principled and ethical stance here, and we regret that the association in which we participate was not capable of doing so. For more than a year, we have been warning that we cannot stand on the same stage with a representative of a country that caused the genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. We point out that Gaza is the only territory in the world where the work of foreign journalists is not possible, and where people are still dying in unbearable humanitarian and security conditions.
I think that quote is a principled stance to take. But looking through Slovenia's history at Eurovision, I kind of get the sense that there may have been a breaking point in terms of how changes at the contest leave Slovenia unintentionally disadvantaged in the competition. So let's go through Slovenia's history at Eurovision. I will try to keep it chunky so that we're not doing a year by year of their 30 participations in the contest. But I think telling their story as a chronology might point to how we got to where we are today with Slovenia boycotting the contest. Like, this one issue, like, yeah, it's a big issue, but a lot of the underlying issues I think may have come to a head, because I don't know, I'm thinking back to 2024 where Slovenia is out of the gate being like, we demand answers. And my response to that was sort of like, oh, I didn't realize Slovenia was so mad.
Yeah, it's just like I expected this from some nations, but not you.
Right.
Not you leading the charge.
Exactly. So Let's go back to the beginning. Slovenia breaks away from Yugoslavia in 1991, and they're pretty much first in line when the 1993 contest opens up to all these new countries that have formed in the last few years. In 1993, there were 14 countries that had indicated that they were maybe possibly considering floating the idea of perhaps requesting more information about joining the contest. Eurovision was already feeling kind of overstuffed at this point. There were 23 countries that competed in 1992. Yugoslavia wouldn't be coming back since Yugoslavia was not really a thing at this point. So that frees up one slot. But out of the 14 maybes, only 7 actually followed through with submitting the application. Eurovision was not going to expand to 29 entries because they needed the show to be at most 3 hours, which, like, looking back on that today, it's like, oh, 3 hours. That's so quaint.
Yeah. Oh, sweetie.
The contest did expand to 25 entries, which meant that 3 of the 7 new countries would get to compete in 1993. The other 4, plus any other new countries that wanted to join, they would get to compete in 1994. This introduced relegation to the Eurovision process, so countries that were at the bottom of the scoreboard would get benched for a year so that other countries would have a chance to compete. There was still the issue in 1993 of determining which 3 of the 7 would get to go to Mill Street, Ireland, where that contest was being held. Slovenia offered to host a qualifying round called Kwalifikacja za Mill Street, where the 7 countries that wanted to compete would perform their songs, the jury would award points in Eurovision style, and the top 3 songs would get to go to Ireland. Since there were only 7 countries, everybody got points, so no one was shamed with a nil point. And in kind of a weird instance of the scoring, each country managed to get a 12 from one of the other countries. So, like, nobody was left out. So that was nice. Slovenia was the overall winner, and Bosnia and Herzegovina and Croatia completed the podium. That great result for Slovenia did not carry over to the main show. Bosnia and Croatia, they did fine. They finished mid-table, but Slovenia finished in 22nd place, and they were instantly relegated. So thanks for hosting this thing. We'll see you in a couple of years, maybe. So
Yeah, thanks for doing all the organizational logistics, Slovenia. Enjoy your year off.
Unfortunately for us, that means no clip from the 1994 contest.
Oh no! What will I do?
But Slovenia does return in 1995 with the song Prisluni Mi by Daria Svajer.
Just like the backing of like the Eurovision 1995 stage, for lack of better terms, just sort of looks like a VHS tape from the mid-90s about this new exciting thing called the information superhighway or the internet. And then just like the most adult contemporary ballad to ever adult contemporary ballad starts.
Yes. I like Slovenia definitely filling the brief for 1995 Eurovision Song Contest. And this song does rather well. It finishes in 7th place. This kind of sets Slovenia up for the next couple of years. Slovenia is just above the cut line in the 1996 pre-qualifier mixtape selection round. But overall, they finished 21st out of 23 countries in the main contest. They would have been relegated under the old system where they were knocking out the countries at the bottom of the scoreboard. But for 1997, they introduced the average points relegation system. So that 7th place finish was a real boon, like perfect timing for that. Slovenia got 10th place in 1997, so that also kind of helped keep their score in a healthy enough range, which got them through 1998 and 1999, but that 1996 low standing, and they also didn't do so great in 1998. It kept dragging down their average. But overall, they were staying above the cut line. Under this system, they should have been in the 2000 contest. But 2000 was the year that the Big Four auto qualifier rule was introduced, and Slovenia was right at the cut line with an average score of 45.4. France was just below the cut line at 44.8. And guess who got to go to Sweden? So if you're keeping score, Slovenia was on the losing end of qualification system changes 2 out of 3 times. They come back in 2001 after being relegated in 2000 with the song Energy by Nusa Dorenda.
If we had like a version of this song where just sort of like after every line the video paused for 3 seconds to give you like an A, B, C, D, what is the next line going to end in? Just like could nail it.
Yeah. Again, Slovenia fulfilling the brief, and like that feels very 2001, which like
yes,
kind of goes back to what I was saying, where it's like, oh no, like Slovenia is on trend. And yeah, I'm still kind of baffled by what she's wearing, like this sort of like yellow black kind of Charlie Brown reminiscent like bustier.
Yes.
It is a look that is just like, nope, that is very 2001 and you could not get away with that today.
Well, and then just like the identical piano players on either side of her, one in pink, one in blue. Just 2001.
Yeah. So, but just like their last comeback from being relegated, this finished 7th, which is still Slovenia's highest placement to date. At this point, Eurovision gets rid of the average points relegation system, and they just go back to booting the folks with the lowest score on the scoreboard. Slovenia is still mid-table in 2002. They are toward the bottom in 2003, but 2004, we're now moving into the semifinal era. So Slovenia manages to avoid relegation a 3rd time. However, the initial semifinal era is kind of wild. In 2004, you have 22 countries competing for 10 slots in a grand final that is going to have 24 entries. So you have a semifinal that is the same size as the grand final. By 2007, you have a single semifinal of 28 countries to go to a final with only 24 entries. So, yeah. And it's also worth noting that the countries that are getting like relegated to the semifinals are generally from Eastern Europe, Southern Europe, mainly the countries that have joined the contest from 1993 onward. If you don't qualify from the semifinals, that means you're automatically in the semifinals the following year. So it's kind of starting to create a bit of an underclass at the contest. This problem came to a head in 2007 when all of the qualifiers from the semifinal, except for Turkey, were countries that debuted in 1993 or later. This was also the year that Serbia and Montenegro competed as separate countries, which meant that there were 5 former Yugoslav republics in the semifinal. Plus, Bosnia and Herzegovina were waiting in the grand final to give out points to whichever of the FYRs got through. Teamwork makes the dream work, and Slovenia qualifies with Alenka Gotar and Svet Z Juga. We saw the lighting effect. We got that.
Yeah, we saw the lighting effect. Like she looks at her hand. I'm like, is she looking? Like, did she write the lyrics for the second verse on her hand? Or like, and then the lights start to look. Oh, it's like a fun thing. Okay,
yeah. It's very mystical, but
again, like on trend. Mm-hmm. Like this feels correctly 2007.
Yeah, and like I can think of at least 2 other entries from that era of the contest that are of that style of song that are really well regarded. So like, even though Slovenia had a lot of support from their former Yugoslav friends, they also got points from a lot of other countries too. Like this was a legitimate qualification. Mm-hmm. Good song, got through. That's how the contest is supposed to work. So Is it block voting? Yes. But if you're doing televote only, you can't complain when people vote for their friends and neighbors. Actually, you can complain.
Can complain.
Yeah, let me send you this quote, and I would like for you to guess who said it.
All right. We've already seen in 2007 that it's not the quality of the song, but the country of origin that determines the decision. Who Who would do, like, I'm just sort of thinking about what we have been discussing recently. I'm going to guess that's not one of the former Yugoslav republics. Like, they're like all on board with.
Oh yeah, no, they are benefiting from this.
This situation is
accusation.
very much working for them, so it's got to be like one of the Western Europe people. Let's just add insult to injury if someone were like, this doesn't bother them at all. Let's just say that's Germany. Is it Germany?
Oh, you're very close. This is Austria.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and they boycotted in 2008, and this was their justification for that happening. It's like, that sounds like something that rhymes in 2026, but I can't quite put my finger on it. But yes, so you have this issue of like the so-called block voting, where like mathematically, like you're putting everybody from like the same geography like in the semifinal year after year because of this underclass system that you've set up. But there was also just the general issue of the semifinal becoming unwieldy. Like, even though Austria wasn't going to be there in 2008, like San Marino was going to be there. Azerbaijan was going to be there. It's just like, okay, we can't have a semifinal of 30 countries. That is insane.
This is becoming untenable.
Exactly. Yes. So the decision was made to expand to 2 semifinals. And yeah, just really kind of rejiggering the format of the contest. So it's not going to be like the top 10 that aren't auto-qualifying countries get through, and then there'll be 10 more in the semifinal, and then the Moon and Aries or whatever. It's just going to be like the host country, the Big Four, and then 20 coming out of the semifinals. It's like, great. In the process of figuring out like how to assign the semifinals, Eurovision's data processor Dygame conducted research on the voting patterns of the participants, which was used to set up the allocation pots that would be used to draw which semifinal each country would be assigned to. The pots are, in my, I don't know if controversial is the right word, but they don't sit right with me after looking into them this week, just because like each pot is pretty geographically distinct. Like pot 1 is like the former Yugoslav Republic. Or the Yugoslav Peninsula. That's a better way of phrasing it, because Albania's in that pot too. That was not a former Yugoslav republic, but it's in the same general area as all the other FYRs. Then you have like the Nordics are in a pot. The like Benelux region tends to be in the same pot. And then you usually have like one pot where it's just like San Marino, Malta, Portugal. Like everybody's just like, we don't know where to put you.
Just like, oh, it's little birthday boys.
Yes. So it's just like the wild card pot. That might be the best way to describe it. The purpose of the pot is to make sure that countries that have a history of voting for each other will get split up in some way. Like, theoretically, like you have 6 in one pot, 3 are going to be in one semifinal, 3 will be in the other semifinal. That'll break up the points a little bit. This kind of coincides with a time that Slovenia is maybe out of step with Eurovision trends, like going back to their 2010 entry. Like, it's just, they're not qualifying in this period is my overall point. In 2011, they send the song No One by Maya Keouk.
The little hand motion at the end from her and the backing singers.
Yeah, it's a really nice touch.
But also, like, have you seen the clip of Hilary Duff on like the Today Show that's like going around right now?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna send that to you after this, because like the choreo is very that.
Okay.
Before I clicked this one, like there was like a little like an inkling in the back of my brain of like, I think it's this one, because like somehow that chorus has stuck with me. Like the structure, again, very on trend. I was like, as this was starting and like we had all the little melismas, I was like, okay, where are we in music reality shows? Has The Voice started?
Right about that same time. So yeah, like Moves Like Jagger was probably hitting the charts at that point. So
yeah. But yeah, it's just like this one holds up.
Yeah. It's very radio friendly. She sounds great.
She sounds great.
Yeah. But like, as you mentioned, like the choreography, a little basic, I think you might say.
Well, just sort of like the two, because like it's her on stage for most of the first verse, and then you have like these two separate, like emerging battalions of two backing singers just sort of approaching the stage.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, like a pincer attack on her. And then
it's like backup has been deployed.
This song did incredibly well in the semifinal. It finished third in the semifinal, and it won the semifinal jury. Now, this is when points were still being combined, like jury and televote, into like one amalgamation of the score. But in the individual breakdowns, like this won the jury. It ended up finishing 13th in the grand final, which, again, that's pretty good for Slovenia. It was fourth with the jury overall, but it was only 22nd in the televote, which is surprising given like it was so on trend, but just really minimal staging. And I think this may be where Slovenia struggles in the contest, because like in all of the clips that I've shown you so far, it's not quite park and bark. Like there is movement in the performances, but there aren't big props that aren't like just somebody sitting at a piano. There isn't like elaborate choreography. There's graphics happening on the LED screens, but it's nothing mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like the last two clips we've watched, the major staging movement seems to have been, well, the main singer is there, and then surprise, backing singers.
Right. So I think that may be like causing part of Slovenia's struggle, where it's just like, yes, it's a good song, the juries appreciate it, but it's going to be tough to be memorable, especially if there's going to be like 28 songs in the semifinal. Although maybe that's not the best example since that one did qualify. But it's just kind of making it's not making it sticky enough. But like the song, like as even you were mentioning, it's like, oh, wait, is it this one? And like just kind of slowly coming back to front of mind. 2011, it's like, okay, qualified, first time in a couple of years, great. In 2012, that should have been Slovenia's year, or could have been a breakout year for them, because Slovenia was moved out of pot one. They were no longer with all of the other former Yugoslav republics. So there was a good chance that they could be like matched up with a lot of friends when the semifinal allocation draw came in. And that did end up working out. Like there were 4 former Yugoslav republics in the same semifinal as Slovenia. The song Verjamem, one of the writers was on the team that wrote Molitva. So it's just like, okay, songwriter pedigree, advantageous voting situation. Like this is great. Not much happened with that performance, and it finished almost last in the semifinal. So like it had the opportunity, but could not seize it. And then 2013, this was the first time that Slovenia decided to do an internal selection, and this was at the height of dubstep, so it was a very wub 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 type entry. Hannah's Straight Into Love,
just immediately aggressively dubstep.
And like I still think it's fine. Like it was very 2013, so again, on trend, but not what anybody wanted.
No.
So last in the semifinal. I believe it was last like overall, like if you combine the two semifinals. And part of the difficulty here is this is a year that Bosnia and Herzegovina was sitting out due to budget issues. In the preparation for this episode, I was curious what Slovenia's scoring situation is. And I went through and cataloged every single point that Slovenia has received from every country since 1993. And
just like, we made a spreadsheet on this podcast?
Oh, yeah.
Groundbreaking.
Yeah. Like this was I thought this was going to be completely a spreadsheet episode, but it's really just more for this one point. But like Slovenia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, best of friends. Like any opportunity that BH had to give Slovenia points, like they would. Croatia as well. Yeah, the other FYRs, like they are giving points to each other. But Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina, like those two were reliable. That's starting to become a problem in the mid-teens, because like in 2013, Bosnia and Herzegovina are sitting out. None of the FYRs qualified. Like that is First time in a very long time that there was no representation from the FYRs. And that was something that happened last year as well. And it's like pretty notable. It's like, oh, wow, this entire block is absent from the final. 2014, it gets even dicier because Serbia's sitting out, Croatia's sitting out, Bosnia is still sitting out due to the budget issues. The semifinal draw, Slovenia did not have any help. They had to get through on their own merits, which they did. But again, like the song does well enough in the semifinal. The semifinals are much smaller affairs. Like it's not even at the peak that they were in like 2011, 2012, where there's like 20 countries competing in the semifinal. It's now getting down to like 14, 15 countries because it's like much lower participation, like where we're at today. But then it gets to the final and it just gets completely lost. So finishing towards the bottom of the scoreboard. 2015, Serbia's back, but again, it's still kind of getting through without the help from their most reliable friends, just because of like how assignments shook out. In 2016, that's when we start getting some like really useful data in terms of like the jury and televote split. While Slovenia is still doing well with the jury, like they're on trend and the jury is looking for like radio friendly content. Mm-hmm. When you're looking at the televote, Slovenia is just not there. And I think it really does come down to the lack of stickiness in their staging. Even though I am a Slovenia fan and I really like the songs that they have, I struggle to remember what the actual performances are because there's not really much happening that like, it's like, again, one step above Park and Bark. Even though they're not fully connecting in the televote, they're getting enough points to get through to the finals. So they're qualifying in 2018. They qualify again in 2019 with Sebi. In the 2020s, it's still kind of messy, like just like not fully connecting. And this is also an era where Slovenia is experimenting with more internal selections rather than having the full EMA process. I mean, 2021 is a bit of an asterisk. Like they had Anne Solich come back because she won in 2020, and it's like, well, yeah, the contest didn't happen for reasons. Let's bring you back with a song that is sung well, not particularly sticky, just really in that Eurovision adult contemporary valley. Joker Out, also an internal selection, a very smart internal selection. They do well in the semifinal. It's fifth in the semifinal and gets points from the rest of the world vote, which is pretty tricky since Slovenia doesn't have like a huge diaspora population to rely on. But then they get to the final toward the bottom of the scoreboard again. Same with Veronica from Raven in 2024. And then you see that the televote is being over leveraged by some of the participants. And like Slovenia is just like, okay, how are we supposed to compete with that? Looking at the stats and just seeing like what countries like had been giving points to Slovenia, like going back to my spreadsheet, some of their top 10 point benefactors. They include Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Romania, Russia. What do all of these countries have in common?
Yeah, just like, I'll take 5 people who have never been to a dinner party at my house and also are no longer in the contest.
Right. I mean, like, Montenegro is, like, in and out. Romania is in and out. And a number of them are budget issues, which is, like, a Eurovision problem to solve, not Slovenia's problem to solve. Some of them are political issues, like Russia, understandable why they were kicked out of the contest. But when you're seeing a country that is getting beneficial treatment despite committing some of the acts that are similar to what Russia had been doing, and the sort of voting mechanisms that the switch in semifinal format was trying to curtail, you can kind of see how Slovenia might be a little annoyed, be like, hey, wait a minute. Why are you bending over backwards to support these systems that you were trying to eliminate because we qualified in 2007? So, and like that may be me putting words into people's mouths, but the data is there, and it's just like
the data is there, and like we have this statement from their head of TV, but they were also one of the ones leading the charge on, hey, the current voting system is disadvantaging not just us, but these other small nations. What can we do about that? What can we change here about these rules?
Yeah. So they're bringing back the juries for the semifinals, and I could see how that is helpful for a country like Slovenia, but it's not actually solving the problem because there's still this televote component where like you can get in purely on televote, you can get in purely on jury, but if you're middling in both, or like in Croatia's case, you could finish in top 10 in both and still not qualify. So there are some larger issues that will be tough to address just because like how do you solve for it? And what I would like to see, just to kind of throw some like gasoline on the fire, is maybe reevaluate how the pots are determined for the semifinal allocation. Like you need to have some sort of mechanism to break up the countries, because I think there is like, it's not a fairness issue, but I think it's like an exposure issue of, I don't know, like make people in the UK watch a Slovenian performance.
Exactly. It's like just kind of looking at the history is like you used to have to make that promotional video so that it would be shown in the other nations. That's why we have so many of these panel shows that still happen in some of the nations, like 12 Stig in Iceland, where like the point of that is, no, we're literally like, yes, we have this jury on stage just sort of chatting about what they saw, but it's also that you, the viewer at home, see the Slovenian entry for Eurovision this year.
I would just like to get a better understanding of the math that's used to determine how the pots are set up, because like the description that I keep reading is like, oh, it's based on voting patterns and geography. So like your friends and neighbors pretty much. But I have to wonder if other vectors are considered, like not just like points you're giving out, but what countries are giving you points, and like how does that shake things up? Or maybe bringing in some component of your average performance from the last 5 years to like maybe split up the powerhouses in the competition. Because like looking at the old system of how they determined who had to go into the semifinals, like Sweden only had to do that once. Ukraine had to do it a couple of times. Like first time they qualified, then they won that contest. And then, they sent a quintessential like host country entry. So of course they were at the bottom of the scoreboard and had to do the semifinal again. But like they cleared that hurdle. But those, like just thinking of those countries and just be like, well, yeah, like maybe make it a little bit more equitable of like who has to qualify. And it may also come down to like, maybe get rid of the auto qualifier distinction. I have a feeling that's going to be a very
like that one like we all know that they like, what if you guys tried this? What if these 5 had to fight?
Yeah. I mean, having skin in the game, I think like that is always going to be my dream. I don't think it's like I think that ship has sailed, unfortunately, but like just thinking back to Slovenia like getting relegated in 2000 because France just happened to have 10 times the size of population, therefore 10 times the financial contribution. Like it's a difference between like fairness and equity and all of that good stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what brings Slovenia back to the contest. I don't think it's just the Israel issue. That is a legitimate issue, as we see with the other countries that we're covering in this boycott series. But I think these structural issues, especially as countries continue to kind of peel off from the contest, like just looking at the map of which countries are participating right now, like it's getting, there's a lot less happening in the East. So
it was getting real sweaty in December. Just looking at the map and going, okay, but like, do we need the semifinals this year?
Right.
Slovenia, to that effect, was sort of like, and as long as we're discussing this, can we also talk about these things that are really affecting us and other smaller nations? So yeah, just like the fact that I agree with you. I think it'll be interesting to see what brings them back, because like, I don't think it's just this big issue that's sort of overshadowing this year's contest.
And like, I would really like Slovenia back in the contest because again, like they are on trend. They send quality stuff that like juries respond to. And I would just like to see them grow in the staging department. And I think last year's entry was an attempt at that. It just happened to be with a song that was just far too schmaltzy to connect with audiences. But the upside down effect, like as goofy as it kind of was, it was like ambitious.
It was something. Yeah, because like I think they have been trying, because like before that we had what they were trying to do with Veronica, which is a little bit artier than what they had been doing. Joker out. Hello, we have sent 6 incredibly telegenic young men.
Yes.
Not a lot, they didn't need to do a lot there.
Right. But at the same time, it's like it's a rock band, like that's already going to be difficult to stage. And and we saw that on the scoreboard. So I appreciate what Slovenia does in the contest, and I don't think they feel like they're receiving that appreciation. And yeah, I hope if and when they do come back that people pay attention to them, because they're doing good work and interesting work, and I want to see them rewarded for that. That's going to do it for this episode of the EuroWhat. Thanks for listening. The EuroWhat podcast is hosted by Mike McComb, that's me, and Ben Smith.
That's me. You can find our full archive of episodes on our website at EuroWhat.com. For our free newsletter and more info about the EuroWhat AV Club bonus podcast, check us out at patreon.com/EuroWhat.
Next time on the EuroWhat, we're going Dutch as Ben takes us on a tour of the Netherlands.